don't need nobody to tell me I'm dead ass wrong. Trying to think I'm right.
Leaked texts between King Harris and Foolio just hit the internet, and it's pure chaos. Accusations, drama, and hidden motives are all coming to light. But the real story behind these messages might expose way more than anyone expected.
I really don't do too much talking. Foolio, get your bitch ass in the boxing ring, nigga.
Rising tensions and public sparring. The story begins not with a leak, but with an escalating glare. King Harris, the son of a well-known rap figure already navigating public scrutiny around identity and authenticity, stepped into orbit with Foolio, a rising Florida rapper with a raw, street-flavored narrative. The friction between them didn't start out hidden. It was flashing on timelines and in comment sections. Foolio's contempt for King surfaced when he posted lines like, "I don't get why Jit wanna be gangsta, you grew up with a silver spoon." King, despite his lineage and comfort, responded in kind. He issued a direct challenge. Foolio, get in the ring. The boxing ring metaphor wasn't casual. It exposed how performance and risk blur when social media becomes arena.
That looking back on Family Hustle, do you feel like it shaped you to who you are now, or did it make things like harder?
I mean, it made me a smarter man for the type of man that I am.
What we see is a collision of worlds: legacy versus ground up, celebrity offspring versus gang-tied rapper, hype versus real peril. King's threat of a boxing ring moment wasn't simply trash talk. It signaled high stakes, proving authenticity above all. Meanwhile, Foolio's dismissive return, "King, find you something productive to do before you be watching Netflix in heaven," added a darker tone. This wasn't just a fight, it was a summons. Not just of words, but of respect, image, and reputation. The public-facing posts were the overt part. Unseen was the pressure behind them. King had a family legacy, reality TV exposure, and expectations to prove something. Foolio had survival, rivalry, and a voice carved from the trenches. Both sought respect from distinct audiences, but the same hunger.
To all the naysayers, all the haters who said the only reason why you're here because of your family, you know, we all know your father's T.I., we all know that your mother's Tiny. So what do you guys say to these haters right now?
When their paths crossed publicly, every comment, every clip, every Instagram story became ammunition. The timing mattered. King had been criticized for his hood pass claims while growing up affluent. Foolio capitalized on that narrative. The internet noticed. Viewers sorted themselves. Tension built, not just in posts, but in mindset. When a boxing challenge goes public, you don't interpret it as a joke. You interpret it as intent, and that sets the stage for what comes next. This is where the audience comes in. Scroll through fan feeds, watch memes, notice how supporters align. Some sympathize with King, seeing him as misunderstood. Others rally behind Foolio, seeing authenticity. The clash felt pre-packaged for virality. The moment a leak arrives, many are already primed to believe the worst because the social media history acted like dry tinder. A spark would set it ablaze. The friction wasn't just between two rappers, it was between two identities. The stakes go beyond a track or a diss lyric. They're about proving who you are, who you represent, and what you'll risk to do it. And so what was coming next was inevitable. The network behind the conflict. To understand this feud, we must zoom out. It wasn't a simple two-man dispute. The conflict involved lineage, legacy, crew alliances, street narratives, and a public spectacle that thrives on risk, exposure, and audience attention. King Harris didn't descend from nowhere. Being the son of rapper T.I. brought resources, but also baggage. Privilege comes with visibility, and in the rap world, visibility is a double-edged sword. The industry preaches authenticity, but when you're born into legacy, you walk a tightrope of proving your street credibility. Every move is scrutinized, every post dissected. Foolio's jab about the silver spoon cut deep because in that culture, the spoon symbolizes unearned status, a lack of struggle, a shortcut that undermines the codes that govern respect in the streets. That line wasn't just a diss, it was a socio-cultural strike. On the other side, Foolio's terrain was raw. Florida roots, survival narrative, gang affiliations, and the credibility that comes from having lived through hardship. When he publicly singles out a high-profile peer, it signals more than lyrical prowess. It signals threat. Not just musical threat, but reputational, cultural, and social leverage. The Get in the Ring challenge wasn't a metaphor, it was a test of courage, a public dare, a potential flashpoint. In these circles, the symbolic can become literal fast. And then come the external players, bloggers, influencers, leak accounts. diss track economies, and so-called highlight channels. In this digital ecosystem, where exposure equals monetization, a feud isn't merely a series of lyrics, it's product. Every like, every repost, every snippet generates value. Leaking becomes strategy. Weaponizing attention becomes art. The clash between King and Foolio wasn't just two voices. It became narrative currency, streaming numbers, and street clout. For both parties, the stakes were extremely real. For King, prove you're not just a privileged face with a microphone and a famous last name. Show that your voice carries authority, that you can hold your own in spaces where lineage doesn't automatically confer respect. For Foolio, validate your reputation, assert your relevance, and demonstrate that your survival and street credibility translate into cultural weight. Every public move counted, from posts to statements to who engaged in the conversation and how. Crew alignments and fan base reactions also mattered. The leak that would follow wasn't random. It was the inevitable flashpoint in a networked war of credibility, visibility, and power. Observing this, we notice how alliances shift in real time. Who reposts what? Which crews stay silent? Who jumps in? And who strategically steps back? It's theater, yes, but theater with very real consequences. The audience plays a role too. We watch, we comment, we repost. The keyboard taps aren't passive. They are a form of participation. The leak lands into this ecosystem, and someone already has the microphone tuned. The network doesn't just support the feud, it amplifies it, monetizes it, and arguably sustains it. Views become votes, shares become validation. In modern rap conflict, the war isn't confined to studios or streets, it moves online, through blog posts, trending hashtags, and reposts of screenshots. When you understand that, you realize this isn't just about two people. It's about a system that thrives on drama and attention. The network is both battlefield and engine. This system loves leaks. It thrives on tension. Drama is its currency. The King-Foolio feud became a machine, one that turns personal conflict into spectacle, personal threats into clicks, and street reputation into a public commodity. Every post, every screenshot, every challenge feeds it, and once the machine starts revving, it's nearly impossible to turn off. The leak wasn't a mistake, it was the product of this ecosystem, the inevitable ignition of an ongoing war where identity, culture, money, and violence intersect. The story, when viewed in this light, is not about two men alone. It is a lens into the mechanics of modern hip-hop conflict itself. The machine waits, watches, and capitalizes, and the audience, willingly or not, is part of it. A portrait of privilege in hip-hop's spotlight. Born into a family with deep roots in the entertainment industry, King's life has been marked by opportunities and challenges shaped by his privileged upbringing. King's parents are influential figures in the music industry. T.I., a pioneer of trap music, has a net worth of approximately $60 million, while Tiny has made significant contributions to music and television. Together, they have provided King with a lifestyle that includes private schooling, luxury homes, and access to high-profile events. This environment has afforded King the resources to pursue his own career in music and entertainment.
No bond. That is what a Hillsborough County judge ruled for the three suspects arrested in connection with killing a rapper outside of a Tampa hotel back in June. Police say Alicia Andrews.
Despite his advantages, King has faced public scrutiny. His attempts to establish himself in the music industry have been met with mixed reactions, including criticism from peers and the public. For instance, a video of his rap performance at a high school basketball game was met with laughter from students, highlighting the challenges he faces in proving his talent beyond his family name. Additionally, his social media presence has occasionally sparked controversy, such as his comments about his relationship dynamics, which have drawn public attention and debate. King's journey reflects the complexities of identity and expectation. While he benefits from the privileges of his family's success, he also contends with the pressure to carve out his own identity in a competitive industry. His public disputes and statements often draw attention to the tension between personal ambition and public perception. These experiences underscore the challenges of living up to the legacy of prominent parents while striving for individual recognition. King Harris's life is a testament to the privileges and challenges of being born into fame and wealth. While he enjoys opportunities that many aspire to, he also faces the complexities of public life and the expectations that come with his family name. His story highlights the nuanced realities of privilege in the entertainment industry, where advantages can be both a platform for success and a source of public scrutiny. The tragic outcome. The escalation didn't stop with screenshots and hot takes. On June 23, 2024, in Tampa, Florida, Foolio, born Charles Jones, was fatally shot outside a hotel parking lot while celebrating his 26th birthday. What had been a feud, a series of posts and taunts, erupted into tragedy. For King Harris, the timing couldn't have been worse. Just hours after the shooting, he posted on his Instagram story, "Y'all be safe out here," To many, it looked like the final data point in a narrative that had crossed into real life. Online commentary erupted. Some pointed to King or his camp as indirectly responsible, even without evidence. The leak, the challenge, the posts, all seemed to lead to this moment. Foolio's death reframed the entire story. No longer just a public spat, it had become life and death. The leaked message took on a new weight. Was it provocation? Was it evidence? Did it set off a chain of events? While official investigations are ongoing, online narrative had already begun to shift. The beef that ended in murder. For the rap world and fans, this kind of bleed between digital beef and real violence is all too familiar yet jarring each time. The jump from diss track to threats to actual shooting isn't inevitable, but in this case, the pieces aligned uncomfortably. The leak now appears prophetic or dangerous. Foolio's death also silenced one major voice. That means narrative control shifts. In absence of his full testimony, speculation, rumors, and leaks fill the space. The public narrative becomes easier to shape when one side cannot respond. The power of the leak looms larger. The message was no longer just internal drama. It became part of a tragic arc. Where there might have been two sides, one was gone. In public memory, the leak and the death fused. The text became haunting. The screenshot became evidence. The challenge became grave. For those watching this transformation, they see something deeper. When reputation, visibility, street credibility, and conflict combine, nobody wins. And when a leak precedes a death, the stakes become real and the specter lingers. In the end, the fight didn't stay on social posts, it found the streets. And the audience already has questions, authenticity and manipulation. Once the message leaks, one central question flatlines. Is it genuine? In the King Harris Foolio saga, authenticity is both weapon and shield. Screenshots have been posted, reposted, dissected, but as someone familiar with rap beef culture knows, screenshots can lie. On one side, believers highlight references consistent with King's known posts, timestamps aligned with events, message style. On the other side, skeptics spotlight inconsistencies, cropping oddities, missing context, redactions, sequences possibly staged for viral effect. In hip-hop and street culture alike, fake leaks are not uncommon, but authenticity had deeper implications here. If the message was real, it validated claims of relationships, threats, or admissions. If fake, it validated distrust and manipulation. And for both camps, control of the narrative mattered. King's camp could raise doubt, Foolio's side could amplify belief. Either way, public opinion tilted. Motive cannot be ignored. If someone fabricated the message, their goal might have been to destabilize King, boost Foolio's platform, or monetize virality. If it was real, then the leaker held power. The central question, who benefits? In this feud, somebody did, and the public watched. Impact is profound. Many fans don't pause for forensics. They judge now. Leaked messages carry proof first, fact check later power. In that realm, impression becomes reality. Authenticity becomes less about truth and more about narrative control. In this conflict, the authenticity debate became meta. Authenticity of claim, authenticity of character, authenticity of message. And while full verification remains absent, what we're left with is a culture that trusts leaks more than explanations, speculation more than proof. The message may or may not be real, but its impact certainly is. In a digital age where private talk becomes public spectacle, this falls under a larger pattern. Leaks serve as both evidence and weapon. They shape how we see people, how they see themselves, and how the public engages. In this case, authenticity wasn't just about whether the screenshot was doctored, it was about who controlled the narrative going forward. The leak changed the game. What we're watching. When this saga hit the public sphere, we weren't just watching two rappers bickering, we were participating in a spectacle. We scrolled, we clicked, we reposted. The story between King Harris and Foolio tapped into how conflict, celebrity, street life, and social media collide in modern culture. First, consumption. Leaks, threats, live calls, challenges, their content. The rawer and more provocative, the more shareable. And shareability equals monetization. So escalation isn't just a byproduct, it can become an incentive. Identity politics. King symbolized privilege, legacy, and celebrity. Foolio symbolized survival, street voice, authenticity. When the silver spoon line dropped, aimed at King, it resonated beyond rap, touching class, upbringing, and the belief in earned respect. Fans aligned accordingly, not just to artists, but to values. The content therefore wasn't just musical, it was symbolic. Each post carried meaning. Each diss carried sociological weight. It wasn't just who spat better, it was who represents what. We often treat online beef as entertainment, but when leaks precede violence, the stakes become real. We watch the spectacle, but too often ignore the cost. The leap from screenshot to funeral is too fast, yet it happens. Fourth, media's role. Blogs, influencer pages, leak accounts amplify. They repost screenshots without context, hype exclusive content, provoke hot takes. They might not cause violence directly, but they create a climate, and that climate shapes culture. People who control headlines shape narratives. In this world, the trend is fueled as much by what we press as by what we produce. What happens when future artists view this story? Do they avoid beef altogether, or do they weaponize it early, knowing the appetite? The King Foolio saga may become a case study in how message, image, threat, reality, and consumption intertwine. How fans aren't passive, they're fuel. And how in the end, it's not just the music we're buying, it's the drama we're watching. In this age, culture is consumption, and conflict is content. Unresolved questions and moving forward. With a death involved, a high-profile feud, public posts, and ulterior messaging, this isn't just rap drama anymore. Investigators may already be probing the timeline. Messages, access, motives. The leak could evolve from mere scandal into admissible evidence. In other words, what began as online humiliation may wind up in a courtroom. The lines between diss track, screenshot, and investigation blur when lives are lost. What comes next for King Harris? His image, his challenge, his public statements. Everything now exists under a new lens. Does he lay open the narrative, respond fully, pivot, or disappear? His next move matters more than ever because the expectation has shifted. Silence might read as complicity. A statement may read as admission. Every public move now contributes to the legacy he's locked into. What becomes of Foolio's legacy? With his death, his side of the story cannot be told in full. His narrative now rests with his crew, his family, his fans. That leak and his death turned him into myth, the rising rapper, the target, the fallen voice. While myth can amplify legend, it's also easier to manipulate. Whoever holds the next chapter of his story will shape the way he's remembered and the authority his verse carries posthumously. Will culture change? Will rap beefs, online challenges, leaked texts be reevaluated? Or will the system simply double down because drama still sells? For emerging artists, this episode sends a signal about trust, exposure, message discipline, and about the thin line between risk and calamity. In closing, the saga of King Harris and Foolio teaches us that in the digital age, a leaked text isn't just data, it's a signal. It can shift reputations, alter lives, and when combined with real violence, the stakes become tragically real. This story isn't fully tied up yet. The bow may not be on the packaging. The echoes still move. And for all of us watching, the question remains, when the next message drops, how many will survive the fallout? Before you go, don't forget, this leaked text saga is only getting messier. New messages, new claims, and deeper secrets are surfacing by the minute. What started as a private feud might explode into something no one saw coming. If you want the real story, the fallout, the truth, and who's really behind the leak, hit subscribe and keep watching. The next drop could expose it all.